are joined today by
J.R. Romano.
Well, hello, everybody. J.R. Romano here with the Connecticut Republican Party. Once again, hope you subscribe and share. I want to give a little shout out to Danny Gentile, one of our state central members who gave an impassioned speech at our last meeting, encouraging people to share the content that is created, because the more that you share, it means the more that our message gets out. So I just wanted to praise Danny for trying to inspire people to get more engaged online, which is always a good thing. So this week, it is so interesting to watch how the Democrats in Connecticut kind of behave. So first and foremost, I think I want to talk a little bit about, I was criticized, or I should say the office was criticized, because we made a little funny video about Ned Lamont dancing at the Woodstock Festival, which he's, because, you know, Connecticut's in utter fiscal crisis, and he thought it'd be a wise investment to pay $30,000 of his own money to have a fake Woodstock so that he could relive his youth, or I should say he could recreate his youth, because as he described in an article, he never had the opportunity to enjoy Woodstock, so he decided he'd live it up. You know, fine. I get it. Only live once, but the dancing was so bad. I wish I could unsee the dancing. And if those, and I'm sure everyone saw it. And we took a little criticism for basically putting up a fun little poll and about, you know, who was a better dancer, Elaine from Seinfeld or Ned Lamont. And of course the Democrats are, oh, how dare you make fun of someone? Meanwhile, they have no problem labeling and calling everyone that disagrees with them stupid, a racist, sexist. But, you know, you make a funny video about Ned Lamont dancing as Connecticut burns. And speaking of Connecticut burning, two things hit the news this week. One being the fact that the state is now on the hook for $25 million, a failed apartment building endeavor in Hartford. And now it's cost the state $25 million. It's an utter failure. So once again, we have the Democrats' idea of leadership is to pick winners and losers and try to force, by spending our dollars, by the way, it's money that we earned, and this money was forcefully taken from us on projects that they think will be successful. And lo and behold, it wasn't. $25 million wasted. Second thing was announced, company out in Farmington, a medical company. It is leaving. 150 jobs, poof, gone. But don't worry, the governor got his Woodstock. He got to dance and shake his tail. Shook his tail feather. And if you watch the video, that's exactly and sadly what he did. And another company walks out. And the beauty of their announcement, the beauty of the announcement, and when you really look at the language that some of these companies and some of these businesses are saying to the state of Connecticut, they actually don't know where they're going. They just know they're going. It could, and I wish I was kidding. It literally go, we may go here. We may go here. No. One thing for sure, we know we're leaving Connecticut. We have to get out of this state because of what the Democrats, lock, stock, and barrel, what the Democrats have done to Connecticut. Now, they can't own it. And there's a part of me that always thought that maybe the Democrats just didn't believe that the way that they led was, in fact, harmful to business and the economy, right? There's a part of me that thinks, well, maybe they just have this different theory that we know doesn't work over and over again, right? It's like socialism, but we have to try, and we don't believe, we believe this is the best way. Well, we learned because of Donald Trump, they actually know that raising taxes hurts the economy. So that begs the question, do they even care what they're doing to the average family in the state? And I'm going to say they don't. And here's how they exposed themselves, because they just cannot accept that the president actually may know what he's doing in regards to these tariffs. So I was attacked for an article and describing that the tariffs, which for those listening, Whenever you're in an argument, and this is going to be the new thing because the Democrats, by the way, the Democrats are rooting for a recession. It's absolutely hysterical. They're rooting for the stock market to collapse. They're rooting for a recession simply so that they can win an election. That speaks volumes of their character and who they are at their core. Nothing, your misery, your family, the security of your family is irrelevant to them. What matters to them is who's in power. Right. So the safety of your financial well-being, your job safety, educate, doesn't matter what it is. They don't care if you're comfortable, if you're wealthy, if you're meeting every expectation. They don't care. And this is exactly what demonstrates this. Because the tariffs, which they were complaining about, a tariff is a tax on a foreign good. It's a tax for the Democrats out there. It's a tax. I want to make sure you understand a tariff is a tax on foreign goods. So they attack me for saying that I don't understand raising these tariffs hurts the economy. You're going to lecture the Republican Party about how damaging raising taxes is? Am I in a twilight zone? So in two things appear in this when they attack me for claiming that tariffs is a negotiation tactic that President Trump is using. It is a short-term strategy. So what that means is short-term pain for long-term gain. And that's exactly what's happening here. And for anyone listening, what they need to understand, the Chinese government has not been a good partner with us. They've not traded fairly. They haven't traded the U.S. consumer or the U.S. business in fairly at all. And in fact, anyone listening right now, just take a moment. I want you to Google Chinese honey. Just put that in. And I want you to read how terrible and corrupt the Chinese government has been in dealing with one product that they import, or I should say they export to us, Chinese honey. And remember, this is a communist regime, which means they know everything that's happening within their country. I mean, they are literally installing cameras in Hong Kong and grading citizens on their behavior. So the government can't pretend they don't know what these Chinese companies and these Chinese farmers are doing. So just Google Chinese honey and then tell me that you don't agree with Trump's decision to talk tough, act tough, and make sure that the American consumer, that the American businessman and the American farmer is protected. And if that means we have to go through some ups and downs, and that's one thing that President Trump understands. The stock market's going to go up, the stock market's going to go down. It's a fact of life. That's what's going to happen, up and down, up and down. What he is doing is taking a short term, it's a tax for short term in order to protect long-term, renegotiate trade deals that haven't been touched in forever. And even in the article that the Democrats, the U.S. economists agree, China's not been a good trading partner. And their whole attitude is, well, what are you going to do? Well, you know what? The president's trying to protect U.S. businessmen, U.S. businesswomen, families, consumers, farmers, all of us. So the idea that these tariffs somehow, and listen, it's going to cause prices to rise. It absolutely is. But the reality is the Democrats freely now admit that higher taxes hurt the economy. So my question to them is, where was their outrage when their party decided to tax things like safety equipment for firefighters and police, for construction workers, steel-toe boots? They're going to add an extra tax onto safety equipment, bicycle helmets, textbooks for college students. These are taxes that they added to goods. And with a straight face, our federal delegation, Joe Courtney, Chris Murphy, Dick Blumenthal, are outraged at the idea of raising taxes on foreign goods. It rings hollow. It rings hollow. And this is a direct challenge to the Connecticut Democratic Party. If you're going to be upset about Chinese tariffs and talks about how the negative impact that it's had on the U.S. economy, you had better apologize for what you've done to every person that punches a clock, that goes to work, blood, sweat, and tears to put food on their table for what you've done to them. Because the reality is now you can say in all earnestness, you'd recognize that higher taxes do damage to the economy, and it would appear you don't care. All you're interested is making sure that you are in charge and that your special interest, aka the unions, are protected. You don't care about the rest of us. And in one tweet, you've exposed yourself of that. Here, I'll share the tweet right now. There it is. Simple as it possibly could be. No understanding or at least intellectual honesty at all coming out of the Democratic Party. It's all about power, not about you, not about your family. So remember, as you're having these conversations with your friends and family and you're talking about these Chinese tariffs, because this is the big thing right now, right? Because they're rooting for our economy to fail. The Democrats are, and this is what it's being parroted by all the local Democrats. So when you're sitting around, remind them that a tariff is a tax on a foreign good. So call it that. So you're upset that that Trump is temporarily raising taxes. Where was your outrage for Ned Lamont or Martin Looney or May Flexer or any one of these Democrats that pushed 100 new taxes down the throats of Connecticut families? They said nothing. So keep that in mind. Keep working. And I'm going to end here because we actually have municipal elections coming up, and I know I'm talking about federal issues. What I need everyone listening to understand is that if we are going to fight back and save this state, and I've said this before and I say it over and over again, I don't know what it's going to take for people listening to say, you know what, I'm going to volunteer this Saturday. Let me call my local mayoral candidate. Let me call my local first selectman candidate. I want to do doors. I want to give money. Because right now, that's all that matters. We have to make sure that our local municipalities are protected, because what we do recognize is municipalities that are led by mayors and first selectmen who happen to be Republican are better led. So if you're listening, if you have not done yet, if you've not done so yet, give a donation to your local mayoral candidate. Give a donation to your local Republican town committee, because they need it. They need it. They are going to battle in November. They need you, and they need that investment. So please, right now, as you're listening, figure out whether it's to go online, whether it's to call the local chairman or the local candidate. If you can't give any money, call up and volunteer some time. Ask when you can show up to do doors or phone bank, because that's right now what all of these candidates need. And with that, please share, and thank you for listening. This is J.R. Romano with the Connecticut Republican Party.